We got some good news out of Ohio last night. Issue 1, the direct ballot initiative that sought to, if it had been voted yes on, change the threshold necessary to amend the state constitution of Ohio. We'll talk about why that could have been very detrimental if it had gone through, but it has been resoundingly rejected by the citizens of Ohio. Again, this is issue 1, and it has to do with what just shortly down the road will affect abortion rights in the state of Ohio and possibly amending the state constitution to protect reproductive rights. And if this had been voted yes on, it would have made that more difficult. We'll get into the details of that. And then we'll get into, in this segment, because of the implications on abortion rights, a pro-life individual appeared on CNN with Caitlin Collins after CNN had already called the results of this direct ballot vote. And the response was just so strange. He was pretending like it hadn't already been called. It was really weird. So we'll get to that as kind of the more entertainment side of this segment. But first, the important aspects on this from Yahoo News. Ohio issue 1 takeaways: abortion still a winning issue for Democrats. The failure of issue 1 in Ohio is another swing election win for Democrats supporting abortion rights in wake of Roe v. Wade being overturned last year, and another loss for Republicans pushing anti-transgender talking points. And that is pointing out that, of course, as is always the case these days, one of the fear-mongering devices was saying if you make it, or if you don't make it harder to amend the state constitution, Democrats are going to do something with radical gender ideology. Who even knows? Republicans in the Ohio legislature spent $20 million on the first statewide election to be held in August since 1926 to have voters decide on a single issue. Should it be harder for citizen-led initiatives to amend the state constitution via ballot measure? The vote was a de facto referendum on abortion held in advance of a second ballot measure in November that will decide, and this is a huge part of this, whether or not to establish protections for reproductive rights in the state constitution. And it lost decisively, as the article notes. And so because one of these direct ballot initiatives on amending the state constitution to protect reproductive rights is coming up in November, this was an effort to make it more difficult to do that. So instead of a simple majority, 50% of the vote statewide for one of these citizen-led initiatives, it would have to be 60% of the vote, which could change whether or not reproductive rights in the state of Ohio are protected come November. So good to see, because it was a de facto vote sort of on abortion rights, and it was another example of seeing if the right-wing fear-mongering about gender ideology and abortion and all of that, if that would be effective, and it wasn't, and people did come out on the correct side, which is good to see. So moving from that, now we have some hope for the state of Ohio coming soon on the subject of abortion rights. We move to just what I found very, very strange on CNN last night. This was Caitlin Collins just calling the results.
And we start with breaking news for you this evening, because CNN can now project that Ohio voters have rejected issue 1. This was a ballot measure championed by the state's Republican-led Congress that would have made it harder to change Ohio's constitution, to add an amendment. This was an effort by Republicans to basically change the rules before there was going to be a key vote on abortion rights come November.
Right. So, all right, it's been called. The statistical reality was one that didn't lend itself to, even though more of the votes were outstanding and lots have to be counted, it's not at all likely that it would shift to a yes vote. But then Mike, and let me not butcher this name, Ganadakis, appeared on CNN, who is a representative of some pro-life organization. And he, instead of answering the question that Caitlin Collins asked, is just saying, well, I mean, technically we still haven't lost on this issue. There's still votes out.
Let's start tonight with Mike Ganadakis. He is the president of the Ohio Right to Life group. Mike, obviously you were hoping that this was going to pass tonight. Why did this fail?
Well, Caitlin, thanks for having me on your show. You know, look, there's still over 7,000 precincts that still need to have their results turned in. We're expecting another 1.5 million votes, so we're not ready to call it on our side just yet. You know, we still think that the votes are out there. We're really good at same-day voting in the Republican Party, so we're still holding out. We don't believe that the race should have been called this early, but here we are today. And, you know, the no side is winning, of course, but at the end of the day, we still want to count all of our votes.
Do you still think there's a chance?
That's one way to do it. Just, why do you think you lost tonight? Well, I didn't.
I do. I think 7,000 precincts. It's not in the nation, but just in the state of Ohio. So there is still time. You know, we're gonna let the process play out, and then we'll see where we're at. But at the end of the day, you know, we've been laser focused on November since January. This was just step one in the process, and we'll be ready to go come November.
Well, I'll say CNN is obviously really accurate with these projections. We don't make these early. We make these when we have a very good assessment.
That's exactly right. Very dependable, the process they use to figure out if it's at all likely that it could shift in the other direction. And you can pretty much, what's the phrase, bet your bottom dollar or whatever on these predictions. Let's see. Then, this is so funny to me for some reason. The pro-life president guy then just starts talking as if, still after that conversation already happened, as if there was still a chance it was going to change. And then Caitlin Collins has to go, I want to remind our viewers, in case you're getting confused, we've called this already. It's over. Not that the vote won't still get counted, but as we discuss these things in the media, once it's called by the networks, it's kind of a done deal because it's so rare that it would swing the other direction.
What do you say to people who are critical of the timing of this? I mean, even a former Republican governor of the state, Bob Taft, said that a question this big should go to voters in November, not in a summer special election, which the Republican supermajority there had just voted to eliminate. I mean, did they mess this up in the camp of people like you who are trying to get this passed by scheduling this vote in August and not doing so in November?
Yeah, no, I look, at the end of the night, we've had a great voter turnout today. Look, in all 88 counties, early voting, same-day voting has been tremendous. So the voters knew there was an election. You know, we didn't lose any ground here. I mean, we're approaching gubernatorial turnouts here in a lot of counties. So voters are smart. They knew that there was one issue on the ballot. There's no city council races or other races. So the voters are smart. They knew that there was an election today, and they responded. We'll see here in a 45 minutes to an hour what the final results may or may not be.
What? Why do you think that? You know, did you make a mistake with the timing, with the strategy of trying to get this through? I mean, we're turning out today, so we'll see how it goes. Huh?
May not be, but the fact that it was in August, I don't think weighed one way or the other.
Well, I think just to remind our viewers, CNN has called this and says that this vote has failed. I know you said that you're still waiting to hear it.
And that's his right. He can wait as long as he'd like to then answer for why this was the result. And even though that's just fun and just something to kind of giggle at, it is sort of representative of what I'm seeing within the GOP for a lot of people. And some in the GOP are trying to wake people up on this subject, but a lot of them are just ignoring the fact that this is such a losing issue when it comes to abortion rights for Republicans. And the country's just largely the majority position is the Democratic Party position. And so if they keep pushing these extreme steps to try to ban abortion and all these different legislative actions we've seen over the course of the last months since Roe v. Wade was overturned, it's going to hurt them and continue hurting them, which is fine. I want more Democrats to get into office and protect reproductive rights. So if they want to shoot themselves in the foot, Republicans can, but it's just strategically odd that they're not really shifting the message or shifting the strategy or trying to moderate themselves and charging forward as if they haven't seen time and time again when voters can vote sort of directly on this subject. It's been consistently toward abortion rights as of recently, in favor of abortion rights, which is great to see. Unless you're within the GOP, then you're probably a little bit scared, which is fine with me because I do want, like I said, the proper outcome to be implemented, and that's going to be through the Democratic Party. Thank you so much for watching. If you want to be a part of what makes this show possible, plus get access to the full video version of the show hours before all the clips are able to be uploaded to the YouTube channel, plus get the bonus show on the weekends, you can do so by going to lukebeasleyshow.com/membership. That's lukebeasleyshow.com/membership, and there's a link in the description.